Tired of serving up the same old tasteless victuals to your family? Step up your grill game with new seasonings from Cloy's Southern Eats. Based off famous Southern recipes, our seasonings will add what's been missing to your family's feast. Add it to steak, chicken, shrimp, you name it. Serving up these fixings is going to make you the hero at home. So head on over to CloysSouthernEats.com and order yours today. Come get you some.
And everybody, welcome to the Hogville.net YouTube Live Arkansas Razorback post-game show presented by Cloy's Southern Eats. Myself, Jason Pattyson, here with Drake Pretty, and I'm going to say it wasn't really pretty today.
I would probably say the same.
You know, Arkansas wins 28-6 over Kent State after, I would say, more of a subpar performance. I don't think that that's what Sam Pittman and the coaching staff are looking for today. I would say the offense, the offensive line went through a couple of changes on the left side, or with Andrew Chambly and Devin Emanuel, and then you also had Brady Latham changing out with Tykees Crawford, trying to get the run game going, something that they were wanting to have a point of emphasis with for this game. And it really wasn't going to happen unless KJ was able to run the ball himself. And finally, the coaching staff decided to abandon it from that mindset of not running KJ for the first couple of weeks, because the offense really, it needed a spark, and he was that spark today.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like you're saying, you know, for an offensive line, when things get shuffled around, it's kind of a weird spot for them to be in, because, you know, if you're used to playing left guard all the time, that's your spot. If you get immediately pushed to right guard, whatever it might be, you know, your reads are different, whatever it might be. So that kind of really can, you know, mess it up for some guys. And that's kind of like how, you know, you've heard in press conferences before, a lot of scouts, you know, are looking for guys that can be multi-dimensional and versatile. And that's, you know, it's kind of hard to find a guy that can kind of play multiple positions.
So today was kind of Antonio Greer, his coming out party transfer from Central Florida. He had a pick six. It was a 25-yard return. Drake, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, man. I think for me, that was probably my favorite part of the game, and it was early. I thought that was really good for him for his debut to come in, and, you know, I can't remember fully if, you know, that was his first rep or whatever how many series it was in at that point. But I think that was really good for him to get out there and kind of show, you know, all the Arkansas fans what he's about.
So from the defense perspective, and what did you see from the defense today?
What it seemed like to me was what really got the defense was those delayed handoffs. It seemed like, from my perspective, what I saw was we were overcommitting, and it was like to a certain point where we were overly aggressive. Not that should ever be a thing in football, but almost overcommitting, not staying home, and those delayed handoffs, you could really see, just that 1, 2, and then split the gap wherever was wherever the the tackle box was collapsing around.
What I also noticed was that they were taking advantage of Arkansas in the A gap, and off the guard tackle guard area too on the A gap B gap. They were waiting for Arkansas to overcommit on the edges, and then they were going right up the middle. And it was a little shocking to me how long it took the defense to come around to really kind of game plan for that. They were adjusting to it. But when they did adjust to it, that's when they were able to start making their gains. They were getting some stops. Arkansas did go for a 4th and 1 there at the start of the third quarter. That on the first possession, that was a little bit of a head scratcher because you're on your side of the 50. And the defense stood tall. They really bailed the offense out, really. And so I was taken by it just a little bit. I want to say that the offense, you'll see a little bit of a different wrinkle next week, but I think there's some things that the whole offensive side of the ball have really got to kind of look at. Yeah, you did miss Rocket Sanders today, but at the same time, running back was the deepest room that you have, and it really didn't. It kind of showed AJ was able to get in some space, but then you also had KJ with the added dimension of the quarterback run. So that was something that I felt was needed eventually, but they still came out victorious today.
Yeah, at the end of the day, a win's a win. And with Rocket out, it was really nice seeing AJ Green come in and step up. His 15 attempts on 82 yards today. That's not too bad. For a guy like AJ Green. To me, he can play at any other SEC school in this conference. Same with Rashad Dubinion and Isaiah Gustav. I think all of those guys. I don't, of course, know how next week's going to go with Rocket, but if that's the case, I still think those guys can, come out, put good yards up, put some good stats up. And I think AJ Green, maybe wasn't the best day, but I think he did a pretty solid job all around.
One of the things that they showed was the work on one of those on that play in the third quarter with that setup from a yard out. That was something that we haven't seen a lot of, but our grandparents and our parents, they saw more of that.
Right.
And so that was something that was a wrinkle that nobody had seen before from this offense. And there's going to be some teams that are going to take notice. They're going to say, hey, be sure to game plan for this, because that was one thing you didn't see under Kendall Briles. He was more of let's spread this out. Yeah. Let's kind of get it, get the ball to the edges. But for some reason, you get Dan Enos now, and it's like, hey, you know what? We're going to throw this old school a little bit, and we're going to triple option where these guys haven't seen it before. Also, Leslie Byram, commented the offensive line forgot to put their jock straps on today. Okay, that was
we don't know for sure.
Well, that's a very poignant comment. That the offensive line, they didn't perform to what I'm going to guess Sam Pittman was not expected. He did not expect them to perform to today. Also, Cody Kennedy. If you have any comments or thoughts, throw those on there. We'll read those out for you. And so, Drake, what did you see from the defense in the second half?
I think in the second half they did kind of adjust to that delayed handoff a lot better. I think they did quite a bit better in the second half. In the first, Kent State, did put 6 points on the boards.
Yeah.
But there was quite a few times when they were down, close to the red zone, maybe around the 30 or something. But the defense, they kind of did a pretty good job about doing their part and holding strong. I don't have the numbers pulled up right now, but I think the defense has not as great as it looked. I think it could have been worse. But all around, in the second half, it looks like they did just quite a bit better. And of course, they didn't allow any more field goals.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break here and word from our sponsor, and this is the Hogville.net YouTube Live postgame show presented by Troy Southern Eats.
Tired of serving up the same old tasteless victuals to your family? Step up your grill game with new seasonings from Cloy's Southern Eats. Based off famous Southern recipes, our seasonings will add what's been missing to your family's feast. Add it to steak, chicken, shrimp, you name it. Serving up these fixings is going to make you the hero at home. So head on over to CloysSouthernEats.com and order yours today. Come get you some.
And welcome back. So we're going to look at a little bit of the special teams today. Max Fletcher, he had a great day. And I hate to say that because you don't want to say that your punter had a great day, but he did have a good day. He was able to flip the field for the Razorbacks. Through the first half, he had 3 punts for 134 combined yards, and that was an average of 44 yards per attempt and a long of 47. That was one of the things that I thought that we might see where the offense might be able to catch some traction, and whenever flipping the field and play that game, that chess game of field position, which something that we didn't expect to see against Kent State after they got drummed by Central Florida. But at the same time, whenever you go from week 1 to week 2, that's where you see the greatest improvements on your football team, really, because you understand what they can and can't do, and you start to try to focus on what they can do really well. Now, that being said, for the Razorbacks, you don't know exactly what that translated to today in a positive way, other than they gutted out a win. They felt like they needed to go ahead and start running KJ Jefferson more. And that was one thing that we're going to see next week against BYU.
Yeah, for sure. They better show up next week, because I don't know if they can get away with something like this against BYU.
So with BYU coming to town, they do have a first-year quarterback, a first-year starter for them, and we'll preview that a little bit more tomorrow whenever I sit down with Dudley and with Otis. But kind of looking ahead to next week's game, Arkansas has really got to figure out what they're going to do with that offensive line. Really quick, y'all, if you want to throw your comments or questions, throw those in the comments, and we'll put those on air and get those answered for you too. So from the defensive side, what do you want to see as far as improvements go for next week?
Yeah, so like we said today, the delayed handoffs really got us. So we kind of, what I would like to see with, maybe see guys, maybe not overcommit as much, maybe try to stay home, of course. Yeah, I mean, that was kind of, the big part of it was just kind of guys overcommitting, on those delayed handoffs and, those dump passes out to the flats and those speed outs and whatnot. I think that was kind of our, Achilles heel today. I think if we can kind of, go back and kind of adjust a little bit better for those guys, I think next week, we can have a much better game. But it's going to have to be looking at, where, our defense went wrong. Yeah.
So offensively, what I'm looking for is, can the Razorbacks run the ball effectively without KJ having to carry the bulk of that carry load for the offense? you want to be able to see the offensive line be able to come in and impose their will, whatever combination that starting five looks like. AJ Green is great on the edges. We'll see possibly maybe him hit the edges more next week. I think that's something that Dan Enos and Sam Pittman are going to try to come out with a little bit more. But you also want to have that inside run game where that's where KJ was really effective today, was being able to run it inside the tackles, and that's what we're kind of missing with Rocket Sanders. So with Dominic Johnson, he's still coming back from 2 ACL tears.
Yeah.
So his second game back, really, and that's you got to give a guy like that a little bit of leeway, trying to get his feet wet and trying to knock that rust off. And so he might be able to provide some pop for you next week. We'll have to see what the status of Rocket Sanders is as well. So one, I'm looking for is, can you establish the ground game without having to put KJ Jefferson in harm's way? And two, can he be a little bit more accurate with those crosses? That's one of the things that a lot of folks noticed today, was that whenever you had those crossing routes, he was not able to hit the guy. The guys were having to jump up, and they were having to extend their bodies to try to bring those passes down. Now, I'm going to tell you what, Isaac Tesla, that guy made some man catches today. And I think that that's something that KJ can depend on going forward. And it might be one of those possession receivers where if he needs, a 6 or 7 yard gain, that's the guy that he's going to look for. Now, as far as an overall, I want to see the offense be able to put up more points than just 28 against the BYU team that will come in here next week and see exactly what Kent State did to them and be able to try to exploit that on the defensive side of the ball. So we're going to go ahead and take one last quick break, and then we are going to give a final score prediction for next week, and we will be out of here. Again, this is the Hogville.net YouTube Live Razorback postgame show presented by Coy Southern Eats.
Tired of serving up the same old tasteless victuals to your family? Step up your grill game with new seasonings from Coy's Southern Eats. Based off famous Southern recipes, our seasonings will add what's been missing to your family's feast. Add it to steak, chicken, shrimp, you name it. Serving up these fixings is going to make you the hero at home. So head on over to coyssoutherneats.com and order yours today. Come get you some.
And welcome back to our final segment here for the Hogville.net YouTube Live Razorback postgame show presented by Coy Southern Eats. So, Drake, next week we got BYU coming into town. Last year we really put it to them on the offensive side of the ball. This time they're coming to our house, and the scenery is beautiful here in the state of Arkansas, not quite as breathtaking as it is in Utah, but hey, this is home for us, and that's what's great about it. So, a score prediction for BYU next week.
I'm going to say 35-10.
35-10. Arkansas or BYU?
Arkansas.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I didn't know that second part. There's a question to it. I thought you would just assume that Arkansas always wins. Yeah, 35-10 Arkansas. It's I believe next week it's at 6:30. That's literally, to me, that's my favorite games, or night games. Everybody has time to, if they work Saturdays, to get off. You can really fill the house up and really make a stadium just super loud. And I think next week, we have a good chance of, packing it up really good. Like I said, I love the night games, and I think probably the majority of people like, good late games.
So I think that Arkansas is going to have a hard time with BYU next week. I think it's going to be 27-17.
It was crazy.
That's my score prediction for next week. Now, there are a couple of caveats that could possibly change my mind. One, like you said, it's a 6:30 game tomorrow night, or next week. So all the fans have the entire day to tailgate. They have the entire day to make their way to Fayetteville. They don't have a 3 o'clock start where they have to leave if they're in Central Arkansas, Southwest Arkansas, Southeast Arkansas, and have to leave early. They can come up and they can tailgate for 4, 5, 6 hours. It's a night game. that Razorback Stadium, man, gets loud at night. And that's another thing that could get these guys amped up. And you're going to see a bigger turnout for BYU versus at Kent State. Yes, it was the first game of the season. It was 85 degrees here, over 100 on the field, or right around 100 on the field. It's going to be cooler. It's going to be at night, and also we have a cool front that's coming through the area that's going to stay around for quite a while. So now you add in the 6:30 game, tailgating all day, the cooler weather, and a packed house possibly next week. That right there is a recipe for a big win. So again, I think it might be 27-17. So we'll have to see, but it'll be good. It'll be a good time as you all see everybody passing behind us there, matriculating out of Razorback Stadium. So we are going to go ahead and head out of here. We have actually got to go write a couple of stories ourselves for hogville.net. And I want to thank Drake for joining me on the post game here, and myself, Jason Pattyson, for Drake Pretty. Thank you all, and take care.